Domestic violence is the biggest problem in this country. The biggest problem. It is bigger than corruption. Okay? Now, here is where I need to talk to y'all. Okay? Because I can't understand why you would do it. And I'm speaking to the women here, the Guyanese women. Okay? You watch that situation with Critic and Brian Marks this weekend. Everyone saw it. It wasn't a secret. You all saw what happened. The court case just finished. Brian Marks was charged with annoyance. He was charged with, using insulting language. And then there was Critic, who's now been charged with assault or malicious intent of bodily harm, physical abuse, assault. Now I watched, this is for the women of Guyana, and I know y'all don't want to hear me say it. I know some of y'all don't like me. You have your reasons for whatever reason you think you have, but I'm going to say it anyway because it has to be said. I watched women for this entire weekend state Brian Marks had their coming. Brian Marks provoked him. Now, you have to understand why that's a problem for you to say. Okay? Because if you think that there are words that can be said that can justify someone hitting someone else, then in there lies the problem and why it's not stopping. The abuse is not stopping. The domestic violence is not stopping. I watched women, droves of women. I have a very popular page. Hundreds of thousands of people watch my videos, okay? And I go through as much comments, especially on this one, I went through the comments. And I could not believe the amount of women that sat down there and said, Brian Marks provoked him and had this coming. He encouraged a man to do that. He pushed a man to do that. Do you listen? Now, let me ask you a question. For the women out there, let me ask you a question. Okay? Do you believe that there is a justified situation that you could be cussing up your husband about something or abusing up, or you and your husband having a verbal altercation, and then he hits you and it was justified? Do you believe that in the middle of an argument between you and your husband, you and your boyfriend, you and anybody, and then he hits you, you will feel like it was justified? Because that is what you witnessed there. That is what you are defending. This is not a man on man story, and it's different between man and woman. Assault is assault. Physical abuse is physical abuse. Okay? Guys, I can't believe the women that were defending this. Alright? And I know what most of it was motivated by. Sorry, there's some people getting out of the car behind me. Alright, guys, at some point in time, ladies, women, at some point in time, you guys have to understand that if you encourage this in any way, shape, or form, then you cannot complain to be victims. What goes for one goes for all. Men, women, everybody. It's not who is defenseless and who's weaker. Okay? In the eyes of the law, everybody's the same. Nobody's any different. Okay? Now, I continue the question. What if critics had hit Brian Marks and he died? What we all would have said then? Was it still justified then? You don't understand. What if he hit him the wrong way? What if he fell? When Critic hit him, what if he fell back and hit his neck on something and broke his neck and died? What would you have said? You understand now? I'm carrying this thing a little deeper for y'all. This is how the civil, I'm trying to teach y'all something here if you didn't know. If you at any point in time thought that what critics did was justified, you have to start rethinking the way you view life. You have to understand that that is a very uneducated perspective. All right? Now, let me carry this a little step further for you. If Brian Max was there, abusing of that man, critics hit him, and then Brian Max pulled out a gun and shot critics and killed critics, what would you have said then? Would it have been Brian Max defending himself? You see what I'm showing you here? You see how the law works? You see why I'm trying to explain this to you guys? All right? This is not, oh, the man cuss about his mother, so he deserve what he get. No. If you are thinking like that, something is wrong with you. Rethink. Just please make this a aha moment. Okay? Oh, I didn't think about it like that. Oh, I didn't look at it from that perspective. Guys, there is no justification for somebody to physically assault you, even if you are abusing and carrying on. And it's why the abuse is occurring in this country. It is why the women are dying. Okay? It is why we have all of this domestic violence. This is the reason. You guys have to be the ones to stop this. Okay? There is no justification for anyone to touch anyone. I'll say it plainly. I know it's a lot of the PPP supporters. I get it. And I don't get me wrong. I know the APNU supporters would have said the same thing, because I remember the Carol Joseph story. Guys, I've been around for a while. I've been doing this. Okay? I know what's going on. I understand the politics. I understand the lack of education. I understand the lack of exposure. And at bare minimum, I can at least attempt to teach. At bare minimum. Okay? If I do nothing else here, if I don't influence any votes, if I don't fight or help to get a minority government, at least you can learn from this situation. And I can tell you just how it is. And I'm not encouraging nobody to do nothing or say anything. But you could abuse anybody you want. They are still not allowed to touch you. Ladies, if you are home whole day with your children and you're tired and your husband come home drunk and you abusing and carrying on, he is still not allowed to hit you. Okay? What he can do is he can call the police. Okay? He can have you removed from the home. He can get you charged. Okay? He can then go to the courts. The courts has an interesting process. Okay? Where you can, there's something called a temporary restraining order. What that is you can actually, without a lawyer, you don't even need a lawyer. You can actually walk into the magistrate courts in Guyana and go to the office there, and you tell them, listen, I'm threatened, I'm scared for my life, I need help, and they will send you in front of a magistrate right then and there. It'll only take 5 minutes. You will go and explain to that magistrate what happened and what's going on, what you've done, and that magistrate will grant you something called a temporary restraining order until it comes back into the magistrate court. Okay? That is something that you can carry to the police, and the police will be able to enforce it. So if this is your husband, if this is somebody in your workplace, if this is somebody in your neighborhood, whatever it is, okay, you can actually get this restraining order very quickly, easily. You don't have to go through no process. It don't cost no money. And you can get that person kept away from you until that goes to court, until the judge hears about it. Okay? The police will enforce that. All right? That person will get arrested if they come near to you. Okay? So there is a system of protection. Now, I also will say this very clearly, and I have to say it because it's me. Okay? And I've experienced what I've experienced. I know a lot of you don't want to hear me say it, but I'm going to say it. All right? I've experienced this situation before, and what had happened, and I can tell you, it is exactly what the judge had said. The judge said, one of the biggest issues we have is people using a shield as a sword. Now, they would go and get this temporary restraining order just to embarrass you, just to, create a situation. Then you walk into court, the judge says, well, nothing has happened here. Talk his story, everybody goes back and forth, and then all of a sudden, the judge realized, wait a second, you did this for no reason. Now, it's a system set up to protect people. You cannot use it to attack other people. All right? And this is what I'm trying to explain to everybody here. That there's systems. At bare minimum, I can educate you guys on this. All right? I want to make sure that we put domestic violence and abuse at the forefront of what's occurring in this country. And it's my main reason that we have to stop voting for PPP. Okay? I know y'all don't want to hear politics, all right, when it comes to these conversations. But what we have just witnessed is the perfect example of a breakdown in our society. And people in our society, you guys, most of you, they're trying to justify it. Trying to come up with some rationale that it should have happened or it was warranted. It's not and never is. Women out there, all of the Guyanese women out there, all right, all of your women's groups, you guys should be standing up now. This is your platform now. This is your political moment to say we hold the power and you are making the change, because domestic violence has gotten 10 times worse in this country. If you need a reason to vote the PPP out, just base it on the fact of how much violence is going on in our society, how much our children are suffering, how much the family unit is breaking down, how much women are not protected. Just if you need a reason, when you watch one of the higher PPP critics is Barrett Jagbio right hand. When you watch that man feeling that bold to go on camera and physically assault a man and then punch him in his face multiple times, you have to imagine what is going on behind the scenes in those parties. Okay? In the PPP. Just wrap your head around that. And then all of them feel like they're big and bad. All y'all women out there, you know how your husbands, I don't need to explain this, but I can be the one to talk it. I know you don't want me to talk it, but nobody else is saying it. You women out there, you see when they lie around their PPP friend, how they feel emboldened, how they feel powerful, they feel like big boys, right? They get this big ego rush and trip, all right? And they feel they're above the law. And he's going to drink a little bit, and what's happened? What's happened is come home and beat y'all, okay? You need to go quietly and privately into that booth and vote the PPP out, okay? Everybody needs to be held accountable. Nobody's above the law. That is how we stop this domestic violence. It is the pathway to ending domestic violence. You have to start somewhere, guys. All right? I'm speaking to all the women out there, all the Guyanese women. Protect your daughters, protect your sister, protect your mother. All right? This is where we are now in this country, guys. Our society has degraded, has broken down to men brawling in the streets. Okay? On live television. And everybody think it's a laugh. Ha ha, look at that. If the man had died there, what you would have said? Right? You see what I mean? And this happens every day in the homes of Guyanese. These same men is walk off the camera, is come off the stage at the PPP rally and go home and beat their wife. How much more y'all want me to tell y'all about this? Y'all know what you're dealing with. Vote them out. Do not allow this to go unchecked. All right? For the women out there, come on, guys. Do better for our society. Do better for your children. Do better for the future of this country. It's the way, it's the step forward in ending domestic violence and the women dying and the physical abuse and the lack of protection for our women. This is what you have to do. You have to vote these parties out. The PPP and PNC have degraded our society to what it is now. That's why people are dying. That's why women are dying. Because these ones at the top feel they're above the law. Everybody's a big boy in this country. So let's go and be their wife because you can't tell me nothing. This is what's happening. Y'all not seeing the... If you want the next reason for abuse, it's because the people are so poor. Because of the poor governance. They are so poor and uneducated. They're going to drink rum, then they're going to be their wife. These are the reasons for domestic violence. And then there's mental health issues that are not being addressed anywhere in our schools, by our police, by our workplaces. Nothing. These are the main contributing factors to domestic violence. And nothing is being done about it. You guys have to do better than this. The women have to do better than this. You have to vote these guys out that are encouraging our society to degrade. Come on. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for my daughter. Please. We have so much more happening in this country. All right? We have so much more happening in this country. And my last topic is distraction. That's what I want to end this with. Distraction. Guys, I watched the video of, as soon as that Brian assault ended, a couple hours later, critics went back on camera with a whole set of other PPP people in their PPP clothes, right? These people are irrelevant. They're nobodies, right? I ain't calling names because I don't want to get them relevance. But they abuse up, and they talk about to each other. If you hear them cussing up one another, nasty, stinking cussing up one another, right on camera, right in the same studio where they just beat up Brian Marks. The PPP now, they're laughing about it and cuss, and then getting vexed with one another for their own reasons and continuing this vulgar, vile, nasty, disgusting behavior. What's wrong with y'all? Y'all think that's a joke? Look how they're talking to one another. And they're in PPP clothing. Think about what they go home and do. Think about how nasty these people are. And again, I keep saying this throughout the video because I need to make sure. I know y'all don't want Kian Jabour to say this. The group of y'all are there that really don't like me for your own reasons, right? But at the end of the day, somebody got to say it. All right? And if you're not out there saying it, I'm going to say it. Do what you want with it. But somebody has to say it. Okay? Look at go back to critics' last couple of videos. Look at the nasty, vile comments that they're making. Look how they're speaking. You guys have to vote these guys out because that's the upper level of the PPP. Imagine what's going on behind the scenes and below them. These guys are nasty people. All right? You have to stop this now. It is too much in our society. Now, I bring it back to distractions. Guys, all these guys are doing now, no, here's what I want you to do. If you see something going on in the media or in the news or the PPP put out some message and it doesn't have anything to do with your life or affect your life in any way, ignore it. Because what they are doing now is they are trying to create distractions. Okay? That's all it is. The circus is in full fanfare now. All right? The circus fully start now. So they're going to find all kind of little things now to distract everybody than facing the real issues in the country. The corruption and the violence. All right? All right? That's what they're going to do. All right? So do not get caught up in the nonsense. All right? Up to now, just to give you the example, up to now we didn't get to see the video of Mohammed's going in the Venezuelan embassy. What happened with that story? Barra Jagyo, Irfan, all of them. He going into the embassy to apply the visa and blah, blah, blah. Up to now, we'll see no proof. Just so you understand the distractions. That's how these guys working. They're just coming up with lies through their teeth to ensure that you're not gonna remember all the nonsense and trash that they have done. All right? That's what they're trying to do. Just distract you. Do not get distracted, guys. All right? That's my message. 1 week we are before elections and we are voting the PPP out. Vote for anybody else. You guys, please understand, and I know there are a lot of you. Funny enough, it's interesting because who I speak to, the people that talk to me the most, I found this little niche, all right? The people that I hear from the most are the least political people. So it's the people that are asking what's going on with this. It's the people that try not to pay attention because they're working every day and they ain't able to hear politics all day. They're working, they're busy, they got mind the family, they got earn money, they got live. They just don't want to hear about politics all the time. Yes, it's election season, so a lot of the people that I communicate with are the people that are saying, man, listen, you just please tell me what's going on. I know you in this thing, I want to hear what's happening. And I try to tell them, you know, as much as I can, as unbiased as I can, from both sides. But let me tell you what I find very interesting. A lot of them are, you know, people are oppressed. And that, I have to use that word. It's an oppression. Because the conversation always gets back to some point of them saying, oh gosh, man, all of them is the same. I ain't able, it's all corruption, nothing ain't gonna change. I ain't even care if I vote. Now let me tell you, that is oppression. The minute you feel helpless, the minute you feel like you can't help your country, like you can't even help yourself, you are oppressed. I